Welcome back. So here we are, we're going to run a sketch to get information displayed on our OLED. So if we opened a blank sketch, this is what we get. So we get a void setup loop where we need to put some information, and then the void loop is where you put information or code that you want to, as it says, run repeatedly. And above the void setup you can put more information, some comments about what the sketch is about, and when you want to define some variables, etc. But we'll cover that. So we're going to close this. This was just to show you basically what the blank sketch looks like, and this is our code. So you can see there's a little bit more information. Don't be afraid of it. It's very simple once you start to understand what we're doing. So this angled line with a star means I'm going to put text in it, and it's all going to be text and comments until I put another star and an angled line. So you can see all this text is grayed out, and basically what it's basically telling you is that we're using the Geekcreit PCB board with the OLED. In this case we haven't yet put the HT11, I believe it is, sensor on there. This is where we get the board from, and this is an affiliate link. So if you haven't got a board and want to join in these tutorials, you can get one on there. And it tells you that because of the strange arrangements that we found out in the last video of the SDL and SCL pins, you need to put an extra bit of code in. So we are here. This is the void setup. You can see above the void setup we've got this information. So basically what we're doing here, we are including the wire library, and the wire library is a standard library. I believe it's standard within the IDE environment. So this is another library that we want to install and use. So this is the command here to include the library, but we've got to make sure that our library manager has actually installed the library for us to use. So if we go up to Sketch, include library, library manager, it brings up the library manager, and this is now just updating the libraries that I have installed. So as we want to install this library, I can't copy and paste it, so we're going to take Adafruit underscore SSD1306, and here we are. It's brought it up at the top, and you can see mine says already installed, but yours will have an install down here, or install here. So you will press the button and install it. Mine's installed, so we're all good. So you will just press install and then you can close. So the next section down is telling the program about the OLED that is on our PC board. So we've got two hash lines here, so that means it's a comment. So it just means I'm reminding myself what the code is about. So it's the OLED display wire address. We need the wire library to address the OLED. So we're going to define the address, and we found the address of the screen in the previous video. So if you haven't watched that one, I will try to remember to put a link in the video description or in this video so you can link back to there. So now to use the screen, we need to tell the software the size of the screen that we've got to use, or we are using. So these two lines tell the Adafruit library, this library here, that we're using a screen width of 128 pixels and the screen height of 64 pixels, and we're defining the reset pin as 1. So that will allow us to use this library later on in our program. So once we define everything here, we actually need to tell the library, using this line in line 24, that the display is screen width, and the screen width equals 128. The screen height is 64. We're using the wire library, and that tells the Adafruit library about the SDL and SCL pins, and we are defining the reset pin, which is number 1. So this is very important here. Important for the board that we're using, that the SDL and SCL pins are not wired up as a normal WeMOS Mini. So in the next line we are going to define our new command that we learned in the last video. So within the void setup, we're making a declaration to the wire library of this command. So wire begins 2,14, which is telling the library that controls the OLED to go and look at these 2 pins, which is the SDA and SCL pins, and that's going to send its information to the screen. So then we need a serial begin, because this is defining the speed that we are writing to the screen. I believe we can write much faster than this 9600 baud rate, but I'm just leaving it as standard at the moment. So as it says here, we now need to initialize and clear the display. So the way we initialize it is, it means, you know, we're telling the screen to get ready to receive information. So display.begins SSD 1306 underscore bloody blah blah, and that is just telling the screen, the program, the address. Remember this address here, OED address, is set up here. So it's this address which we found in the last video. Now this is uncommented at the moment, and I'm going to take out the comments, and what this will do, this will, as it says here, send the OED and it will draw the Adafruit logo. It's important to do that because Adafruit write all these libraries, and it will just display their splash screen on the screen. We delete these 2 lines as well, comments, for 2 seconds. So we will get a nice Adafruit logo displayed on the screen for 2 seconds saying thank you very much Adafruit, and then this command will clear the display. And I must go back actually. The this command is actually telling the screen that we're going to display the Adafruit logo, but nothing actually gets displayed on the screen until you put in display. You can write as much text as you like, and if you don't put display, nothing's getting put on display, and we'll cover that in a minute. So then after the Adafruit is displayed, we're going to clear the display, which means clear it and delay 1 second. Now in the void loop, which is the code that's going to be repeating itself, again it looks very scary, but it's all commented here exactly what we're doing. So I want to display a pixel in each corner of the screen. So this is the way that you tell the program that you want to draw a pixel. So display.drawPixel at 0, 0. So that's going to be the top left hand corner display. The color is going to be white. Then the other 3 lines is telling it to draw a pixel at x coordinate 127 and y coordinate 0. Now the reason we only go up to 127 is because we're actually counting from 0. And if you remember up here, we know that the screen is 128 pixels by 64. So because we're drawing 1 pixel at 0, 0, the last pixel we can draw on that line is at x127. So similarly, we want to draw a pixel now at the bottom left hand corner of the screen. So that's x0, y 63, and then the last pixel x127, 63, and it's telling you here where they're going. So again, this is the commands that's telling you what to do, but nothing's actually drawn on the screen yet, because remember what I said up here, the display command is telling the screen, right, we've loaded all this into the memory. I believe that's the correct terminology, or wherever it goes, and get ready to display it. But we're going to do a little bit more than just displaying dots. I mean, I just included this because I saw how I could do it. We actually want to draw text, and the standard text everyone seems to want to display is hello world. So in this one, the comment says display a line of text, and we're going to do more than a few lines. So display text dot set text size 2. You can display 6 sizes of text on this screen, and we are choosing the second smallest text to display this time. Then we're going to set the color. Display text color is white. The screen can't display color as in any color it wants, but you have to tell it to display a color, and we're displaying white. So now I'm going to set the cursor down the screen slightly because I want to get this word hello not on the first line. So I'm coming X is 30 and Y is 0, but that is positioning the bottom left hand edge of the H. So that's why I've had to give it that coordinates. So then we're going to do what they call a print line of hello. Then I'm going to move the cursor down a bit more. Then I'm going to print the word world. Then I'm going to change the text size because I will now print smaller, so now it's down to 1. Going to move the cursor again, and I'm going to print it's working. So that's put all that in memory, and now the last line is display. So let's make sure that we've got our board set up right. So that is, board is still the D1 Mini. If you haven't got the board selected, you will go across down here, scroll all the way down to WeMOS D1R1. Now if you're not seeing these boards, you need to go to preferences, and I will copy and paste this line of text. This line of text is loading in the additional board managers that the Arduino IDE requires to display the ESP32 and the ESP8266. So if you haven't got that, you copy and paste the JSON files in this line, click OK, and then when you go to boards and managers, it will load in the board managers. This is now just going to update, so just have to wait for this to update. So go back to, what's happened? Go back to boards, we're on the D1. Everything here is set to standard. We're still on COM6. Your COM port may be different. If you're not sure what COM port, if your board is already plugged in, you can unplug it and one COM port will disappear. Plug it back in again, and the COM port you require will come back. So everything looks good, and as long as I've coded this correctly, we're going to click upload. Now this button here, the tick, that is just, if we click that now, all that's going to do is compile the sketch, and that's checking the code that we've written here before you upload it to the board. And that's important, because if you try to upload a sketch and it's faulty, you would be overwriting your sketch on your board. So that's telling us how much information we've used, and it's only a very small program. You can see that we've got 26% of the storage used, and we've got a maximum of, what's that, 1 million odd bytes left. So we're all good there. So we're now going to press the right hand facing arrow, and that's telling us here that it's uploading. So we're just going to press that. It's connecting to the board. The board light is flashing here to say it's receiving information, and there we go. We've got the Adafruit logo came on for 2 seconds, and we've got our hello world, it's working text. And if you look very carefully, in each corner of the screen you've got a dot. So if we look back at the code here, this is where we're telling the screen we want to put a dot in each corner, and then this is telling us that we want to draw the text where it is. And that's it. It's working. I'm so excited. So, upload the code. See how you get on. In the next video I'm going to do a little bit of scrolling text, just because that's another thing I learned. And in the what are going to be the 5th video, we're actually going to get the sensor working on the screen. So that's Andy now, signing out on another video. Hope you enjoy it. Cheers for now.